Imagine the internet is a massive, intricate skyscraper. It is supported by millions of steel beams, the open-source software libraries that we trust implicitly to keep the structure standing. We rarely look at these beams because we assume they are solid, forged by generations of dedicated engineers. But in early 2024, the world learned that one of the most vital, foundational beams, a small, unassuming compression library known as XZ Utils, had been quietly hollowed out from the inside. This was not a story of a chaotic smash-and-grab hack, but a patient, methodical, 2-year-long infiltration that very nearly compromised the global digital infrastructure. To understand why the XZ Utils backdoor was so terrifying, you have to understand its ubiquity. XZ Utils is a tool used to compress data. It is a utility so fundamental that it is packaged into almost every major version of Linux. When you update your operating system, or when your server manages compressed log files, you are using XZ. It is, for all intents and purposes, a piece of invisible plumbing in the digital city. Because it is so low-level and essential, it is rarely audited line by line. It is maintained by a handful of volunteers, an economic reality of open source that remains one of the industry's greatest vulnerabilities. The perpetrator of this attack did not come in through a window, they were invited through the front door. The persona, known as Ja Tan, appeared on the project's mailing list in 2021. For 2 years, they did not attack. They did the exact opposite. They became a model open source contributor. They submitted helpful patches, fixed bugs, and demonstrated an unwavering commitment to the project. They slowly gained the trust of the original maintainer, who was reportedly suffering from burnout and was looking for help. It was a classic social engineering marathon. By 2023, Ja Tan had successfully maneuvered themselves into a position of authority, effectively becoming the lead maintainer for XZ Utils. Once they held the keys to the kingdom, the trap was set. This was not a simple bug, it was an incredibly sophisticated, multi-stage supply chain attack. Ja Tan began introducing changes into the source code that seemed innocuous but were actually designed to create a hook for malicious activity. They cleverly hid this malicious code inside binary test files that usually store data for software testing and are often skipped during manual code reviews. By manipulating the build process, they ensured that during the compilation of the software, these hidden bits would be unpacked and combined to form a backdoor. The genius, and the horror, of this backdoor was where it lived. It was designed to specifically target the Secure Shell, or SSH, which is the protocol used by administrators to remotely access servers. By hooking into the authentication process, the backdoor would have allowed an attacker who possessed a specific private key to bypass all security checks and gain unauthorized, administrative access to the machine. Essentially, anyone who used the compromised version of XZ Utils would have essentially opened a secret, invisible door in their servers, allowing a remote attacker to waltz in with root-level privileges. The nightmare was prevented by pure chance. In March 2024, a Microsoft developer named Andres Freund noticed that his Debian Linux test server was running slightly slower than usual. It was a marginal, almost imperceptible performance difference, a half-second delay in SSH login times. Most people would have ignored it. Many would have assumed it was just a glitch or a background update. But Freund was an engineer with a keen eye for system performance. He began to investigate. He dug through the stack traces, tracked the latency, and eventually traced the issue back to the libelsma library, which is part of the XZ Utils suite. What he found was a discovery of historic proportions. He realized that the version of XZ Utils he was using contained an injection that had no business being there. He didn't just find a bug, he uncovered a nation-state-grade espionage weapon. The global cybersecurity community was alerted, and the patch was pulled before it could migrate into the stable versions of major Linux distributions. Had that happened, we would have been looking at a catastrophe of potentially unprecedented scale, where the world's most secure servers were essentially turned into open, vulnerable backdoors. The fallout of the XZ Utils discovery triggered a massive reckoning across the technology world. It forced the industry to confront the fragility of the open source model. We have built our global digital economy on the backs of volunteer maintainers who are often underfunded, overworked, and burnt out. The XZ attack proved that the most effective way to hack the internet isn't to break the cryptography or outsmart the firewalls, it is to find the person who maintains the software and gain their trust. It is a human failure, not a technical one. In the aftermath, the conversation shifted from just patching the bug to securing the supply chain. We saw a renewed emphasis on the bus factor, the idea that a project is only as safe as its smallest number of contributors. If a project relies on one or two people, it is a single point of failure. The incident highlighted the need for more rigorous vetting processes, not just for the code itself, but for the people who contribute to it. It also brought to light the urgent need for corporations that profit from open-source software to invest back into the infrastructure that sustains it. Reflecting on the XZ Utils backdoor today, it serves as a sobering reminder that we live in a world of shared, often invisible, technological dependencies. Every time we deploy an update, we are trusting thousands of lines of code written by strangers. The XZ incident was a bullet we dodged, but the underlying systemic risks remain. It changed the way we think about software integrity.